God watch over. Good luck then. Coming.
Greetings, good night. How may...
I'd like to find out about the poachers round here who've been stealing game recently.
Don't ask me. Talk to the blacksmith's Betty. She's the one who claims she saw them feasting in the woods.
I see. Thanks. I'll go and ask.
God be with you.
I'd like to find out about the poachers round here who...
I don't have time for gossip. If that's what you're after, go and speak to Elena. You'll find her in the fisherman's hut by the pond.
Goodbye.
How's it going?
I'd like to find out about the poachers round here who've been stealing game recently.
I don't know anything about that, but if it's gossip you're after, go and speak to Brother, the tanner. He always spins a good yarn. You'll find him at the end of the village, the last house on the way to the port. Take care.
What do you need?
I'd like to find out about...
What about them?
Well, I wondered if you've got any idea who might be doing it.
Tom of the Baths was mouthing off in the tavern, that's all I know.
See you later.
Good day to you. God save you.
I'd like to find out...
I don't know anything about it,
I've only got 2.
but if I were you, I'd speak to Martha, the innkeeper's wife. She knows all the goings-on around here. You can find her at the tavern.
Goodbye. I'm at your service.
I'd like to find out about the...
What about them?
Well, I wondered if you've got any idea...
Tom of the Baths was...
God be with you.
How are you, Henry? Jesus, what do I have to do to get
God
a
bless.
drink here?
What? My pleasure. My humble greetings.
I'd like to find out about the poachers round here who've been stealing game recently.
I don't know any.
No, I didn't mean it like that. I just wanted...
I said I don't know any. If you want to know anything, go see blacksmith's Betty. She saw them feast.
Feasting?
That's all I know. Good luck then.
God's blessings.
I'm here to find out about the poachers gang, and I need...
Well, ask away.
I heard you were yelling in the tavern that you were off to hunt some venison.
Look here. I don't know who you are, but you should watch your mouth.
I will, don't you worry. So what happened then?
What? Nothing. It was just the beer talking. I got pissed and started spouting shit. Didn't mean a word of it.
Maybe not. That remains to be seen. That'll do me. I hear there's been trouble with poachers recently.
I don't have time to talk to... God be with you. What do you want here? Hop it or I'll call a guard. Can I do anything to help? Is someone there? I must be going mad. Hey, what do you think you're doing? Get...
Good health to you.
I heard there are poachers in the woods round here.
If only if it was just poachers. It's that sorcerer Hare. He's the one who's been running amok. I said he'd be back, and I said he'd be vengeful, and I was right both times.
Tell me something about Hannikin Hare.
Ah, that was all years ago. He turned up here one day. No one rightly knew where from. He claimed up at the castle to be a nobleman's son, and so he got the office of Master Huntsman, and Margaret was promised him for his wife. Nobody could have known he was a sorcerer.
And how did...
Well, he was able to vanish into thin air in the forest right in front of folk. And I've heard it said he spoke to animals, too, though I don't know the truth of it.
That doesn't sound very convincing to me.
That's because you've not seen his marksmanship. It wasn't natural, the things he could do with that bow of his. They say he sold his soul for the gift of it.
I see. How did it go?
I'm not one to gossip, but she was a flighty lass in her younger years. She could never make up her mind which one she wanted, the Hare or Nicholas. So in the end, fate decided for her.
What do you mean?
Oh, that was quite something. And then some on top of it. Sir Henry of Lipa was visiting here at the castle, and Hare snapped his guardsman's neck with his bare hands. Of course, they found him out. But how do you keep a sorcerer under lock and key? You can't. That's your answer. And that Satan's spawn slipped the net.
Oh well. Any idea why?
No one knows, and most likely never will. But they say he was fully in the devil's power. There was a full moon, you see.
Was he actually seen killing the guardsman?
I suppose so. Else they'd hardly know who did it, would they?
There is one. Has anyone actually seen this Hannekin Hare? He seems to exist only as a bogeyman to frighten naughty children.
Oh, he exists all right. But he flits around in the forest like a shadow. They won't be catching him anytime soon. But Blacksmith's Betty heard some of their goings-on in the woods.
Goings-on? What's that supposed to mean?
Cavorting and raising hell. Sorcery! Hare meets up with his sorcerer's apprentices, and they feast in the clearing in the woods. In the morning, they turn into ravens and scatter. Or so she says. But you'll have to ask Betty for more. Who knows or what she was doing there with them.
Very well. Tell me something.
That he claimed up at the castle to be a nobleman.
There is... Who does Hare want?
Master Huntsman Nicholas, of course. When the hare disappeared, Nicholas took his Margaret and the huntsman's posting.
So Nicholas came out of it well.
That one always knew how to land on his feet.
Thanks.
Take care.
Come on.
Jesus Christ. Your clothes.
I heard you've got a poaching problem in the woods around here.
In the woods and out of them. Not long back the bastards hung a deer's head on the huntsman's house.
Oh, that's pretty brazen of them.
Certainly is. Word around the village is that someone wants to shame him till...
Putting a deer's head on the huntsman's house sounds pretty risky. Why would anyone do that?
Maybe they want to show that Huntsman Nicholas is no match for them. And they're not wrong. He isn't the man he should be.
Do you think it was someone local?
I really don't know. All sorts of things get said. Hannekin Hare's back, if you listen to some, and others are going on about Tom of the Baths. They swear blind he's got his fingers in it.
And what about you?
It could be anyone. There's more than one that has it in for Nicholas. And who knows what the neighbors get up to by night.
What's so suspicious about this Thomas?
Just that he was drunk and blabbering about how he was going to bring back venison from the woods.
Tell me something about Hannekin.
He used to be Master Huntsman here a while back. But then Nicholas got him accused of a murder, and the hare had to flee. It cost him the huntsman's rank and Margaret, too.
What happened between Hare and Nicholas, anyway?
Those two didn't get on from the start. And then that business with Margaret really set them at each other's throats. But it all came to a head about 15 years back when Sir Henry of Lipa came to visit.
Sir Hanish's father?
Just so. There was a banquet at the castle in his honor, and in the morning they found one of Sir Henry's men-at-arms in the ditch with his neck broken. Well, Nicholas made sure that blame fell on Hannikin Hare.
And what happened to...
That's just it. No one rightly knows. They put him in the dungeon, but when Sir Henry's men came for him the next morning, he was gone. No one knows what became of him.
So how did Nicholas...
Nicholas always had a viper's tongue, and events made it easy for him. That evening there'd been a right falling out between Hare and the guardsmen. Blows were struck. Well, Sir Divish didn't want any ill will with Sir Henry, so he tried to settle things as quick as he could, and Hare got the short straw.
What was going on with Margaret?
Her father promised her to Hannikin, because they seemed a good match. But Nicholas couldn't stomach that, so he did what he did.
I want to ask about something else. Tell me something about how...
He used to be Master Huntsman.
I want to ask... So why do people think Tom of the Baths is involved?
Ah, that's just nonsense. He was bragging in the tavern that he'd put on a venison feast for the village girls. Deer for the deers.
Did he?
I doubt it. He's all mouth and no trousers. But if you want to know more, ask my husband, the innkeeper. I wasn't here that evening.
That'll be all.
God be with you.
What? You! What the hell are you fooling about here for? Be off right now or I'll fucking see you off.
Are you deaf? God be with you.
What?
What do you think about all the poaching lately?
What should I be thinking? If they ever catch them, Sir Divish will have them skinned alive. But for that to happen, our master huntsman would have to be made of sterner stuff.
Folk were talking about Hannikin Hare.
Oh, good Lord. People do like to prattle on. Don't you go believing a word they say. It's the back of beyond here, and they'll tell any tale to spice things up a bit.
Do you think Nicholas isn't doing enough?
A master huntsman who lets poachers run wild through his woods? He's useless. He couldn't even stop them hanging a stag's head on his own house.
Right. Thank you, innkeeper. I've heard Tom of the Baths was mouthing off in here.
So he did. He and Jack Piper were bragging about how they'd make a feast for the village lasses, that there'd be venison roast and enough beer to fill a river. And a few days later, they did come and buy a few kegs of beer from me.
Did they have anything else to say?
Not really. I told him to shut up, or someone would hear him and there'd be trouble.
And what did he say to that?
Nothing. He had more booze in him than the castle cellar. He just hiccuped and slid under the table. Piper took him off after that, thank God.
Do you suppose he meant it?
Hardly. He's nothing but a braggart.
All right, I'd best ask him myself.
Well, feel free to ask, but don't believe half what he says.
And who is this Jake Piper?
Well, he's Tom's best mate. A decent fellow. They call him the Piper because everywhere he goes, he's whistling on that pipe of his.
Where can I find him?
Well, most likely in the quarry. He lends a hand there to make ends meet.
Thank you, Inky. How are the Talmberg folk getting on?
God be with you.
Stop right where you are.
Stop! Here!
I've got him. You should have thought.
You...
Well.
God bless. Can I help you?
I'd like to find out about the poachers round here who've been stealing game recently.
I don't know anything about it. But if I were you, I'd speak to Martha, the innkeeper's wife. She knows all the goings-on round here. You can find her at the tavern.
Good luck, Ben.
Oh, no! My God, no! Let me sleep.
I'm glad to see... I've been hearing some quite wild stories about hair.
People do prattle on. It happened a long time ago, and I've heard some crazy tales myself.
And what's your version of what happened?
Hare was a stuck-up knob. He came here with nothing to show but his bare arse. But he thought he could have anything he pointed at. All because he was of noble stock.
Whatever became of him?
Oh, you must have heard. He killed one of the armed men that served Sir Henry of Lipa, and they sentenced him to hang. Except he scapered right out of the castle dungeon.
How did he manage that?
Nobody knows. But I'll bet he had help from someone up at the castle.
And what was your wife's role in all this?
He had his eye on her, and she didn't want him. That's all. And it had nothing to do with what happened later.
I heard that he was a sorcerer.
And I've heard there's blooming roses on Rattay Gallows at Christmas. A sorcerer. Bah! Hare was a ruffian, but there was nothing supernatural about it.
That's all I need.
Take care.
Good morning.
I'd like to find out about the poachers round here who've been stealing game recently.
If you ask me, there's some questions best left unanswered. But go and see Elena if you're determined. That old gossip will tell you all there is to know.
I'd like to ask you about Hannikin Hare.
I'm sorry, but
The thing is, every time I spoke to someone about Hare, they always ended up talking about you.
But I don't.
You aren't to blame for anything, is that it? Well, I am willing to believe you, but you do know more than you're telling, and I need to hear it.
Very well. You're right. And what would you like to know about Hare?
How were things between you and Hare back then?
There was nothing between us. Hannikin Hare impressed my father with all his talk of noble blood. But I couldn't stand him, and I didn't want to marry him. And then it made no odds after he ran away.
So you didn't want him? I only asked because I've heard differently.
That's village talk. Of course folk gossip. Mostly they just want to hurt Nicholas.
Did Hare really commit the murder?
God in heaven, how should I know? Anyway, it doesn't matter now.
That remains to be seen. That'll be everything.
I'm sorry.
That'll do me.
Good luck, then.
Good morning.
I've got a few questions about these poachers.
So ask.
I heard you saw something fishy in the forest.
That's right, I did.
Can you describe what you saw?
It was after dark, I remember that. I went up past the castle along by the clearing, and I saw someone had lit a fire, and there were figures singing and dancing, and I could hear the whistling of a pipe. And I could smell roast meat. It was like a feast of some sort. Only I thought maybe it was some witch's sabbath, so I was afraid to stay too long in case they saw me.
Did you recognise anyone there? Someone from the village, maybe?
No. Like I said, it was dark. All I could see was shadowy figures moving around.
Did you hear any familiar voices?
No. But I heard girls' laughter, goblets clinking, a piper playing. It sounded just like any feast.
Where is the clearing?
A short walk north of the castle. There's a track past the woodcutter's camp that takes you there.
Thanks. What do you make of this poaching that's been going on?
It's clear as day. Hannikin Hare's back. And putting those antlers on Nicholas's house? Well, we all know what that means, don't we? It's the sign of a cuckold, you mark my words.
You mean to say his wife's cheating on him?
All I'm saying is she might be feeling the urge. It happens in the bed.
Well, you're the first who's certain of Hare's return. So far, I've just heard vague rumours.
Well, now, I wouldn't say I'm completely sure. I suppose some other mischief maker could have done it, but better the devil you know, and everyone hereabouts knows Hare.
You were singing a different...
So?
It's nothing to you, but I'm helping Nicholas unmask that local poaching gang.
Oh, I didn't know that.
Well, now you know. And you also know not to keep anything from me. So, what's the story with that Hare?
All right, I'll tell you what I know. But promise not to tell Nicholas I said it.
I'll do what I can, but I need to let him know what I discover. So, out with it.
It's to do with Margaret, his wife. They say it's all because of her.
Keep going.
I know full well Hare's here, because Margaret admitted as much.
What did she tell you?
That he waited in the woods till she came by and they exchanged some words. Words was all she told me. Who knows what they actually got up to.
And what did they speak about?
I don't know. But if Nicholas knew they'd met, he'd most likely kill her.
You're sure she wasn't saying it in jest?
Oh, no. Margaret wouldn't joke about something like that. Well, now.
Stop. But you know who Radzig Cobbler is, right?
Of course.
I'm his right-hand man, and I'm helping the huntsman catch the poachers. So, I'm not someone you should be messing around.
All right, I'll tell you what I know.
I'll do what I...
It's to do with...
Keep going.
I know.
What did she tell?
That he waited...
And what did they...
I don't know.
You're sure she...
Oh, no.
Who's this Hannikin Hare, anyway?
Hannikin Hare? There was a time he was master huntsman here, and Margaret was set to be his wife. But then he got himself accused of murder and fled before they could hang him. Margaret and his job both ended up going to Nicholas.
So what's the story between Hare and Margaret?
It was complicated. He wanted her and she wanted him too, I reckon. At least for a while. But then she hitched up with Nicholas and now she says she never had a thought of wedding Hannikin Hare.
So what went on between Hare and the huntsman?
Those two? There was no love lost between them from the moment Hare arrived. And then Margaret got involved. It was a messy business.
Do you think Hare really killed that man?
Who knows the truth of it now? I did find it all a bit odd. Hare never was much of a hothead. But then again, no one really knew him that well. And Margaret never wanted to speak of it. Wouldn't hear a word about it.
That's all I need.
Good luck, then. Good God. God be with you.
I hope I can be a...
I'm here to find out about the poachers gang.
Well, ask away.
Blacksmith Betty saw people feasting in the woods, And she says there was a nice smell of venison. What do you know about it?
Nothing. I wasn't there.
And I don't suppose you'll tell me who was?
No, because I wasn't there.
That'll do me.
May the Lord watch over you.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
I'm honoured that you should...
I heard you have poacher trouble.
Certainly do. They're running wild around here. And they kill a lot more than they take. Many a time I've seen a carcass just thrown in a ditch.
Why would someone just toss their catch in the woods? It doesn't make sense.
Well, the wagging tongues say they're just doing it to spite the huntsman.
Do you have any idea who the poachers could be?
If I knew, the bastards would be strung up by now.
Don't tell me you've heard nothing at all.
Well, I did hear that Thomas, that fellow who works at the bathhouse, was mouthing off recently, saying he'd go and bag himself some game and lay on a right feast for the village girls.
I see. Has anyone seen those poachers with their own eyes?
No, just the dead game they leave behind. But blacksmith Betty saw some goings-on in the woods.
Goings-on? What's that supposed to mean?
Well, that's what she said, and I ain't...
Why would anyone want to take revenge on the huntsman?
He's not the best-liked man in the village. We all know that. And then there are those who say Hannikin Hare is back.
Who's Hannikin?
You're not from around here, are you? The Hare's quite the Talmberg legend. He used to be master huntsman here once, but then he ran off.
Why did he run?
Well, it just so happens I know the answer to that. Some big important nobleman came to Talmberg around then, and they made a grand occasion of it. And in the midst of it all, Hare had a falling out with some man-at-arms and knocked him in the moat. The poor bugger broke his neck. They picked the Hare up, but before they could take him before the court, he vanished.
Why take revenge on Master Huntsman Nicholas?
Because of Nicholas's wife, Margaret. Hare had his eye on her back then, but she didn't care for him and he was fuming. Well, and after he disappeared, Nicholas got his post.
Where did he run to?
No one really knows.
I want to ask... Thanks.
Goodbye.
Yeah.
Humble greetings. How many...
I need to ask you something about the...
What? Me? Why me, for Christ's sake?
They say you were mouthing off in the tavern.
We'd all had a few ales. You know what it's like. The tales get taller.
So you didn't go poaching with Thomas?
My God, no. That would never even cross our minds. Thomas is a bit wild, but I have some sense at least.
Some folk had themselves a feast in the woods recently, and the people who passed by told me they heard a piper playing. You weren't by any chance there, were you?
I was. I don't deny it. But nothing disreputable went on there.
If you're innocent, lying won't help you.
I don't know what you want from me. Nothing wrong went on in that clearing, and I certainly don't go poaching in the woods.
But you do know something about it, and you're keeping it from me. Covering up for a friend, is that it? Very well. Loyalty is a fine thing, but once they discover who did it, then it'll be too late. You'll be in right in over your head, with him.
But I haven't done anything.
Then you have nothing to fear if you tell me what happened.
All right. Yes. There was venison being eaten, but I didn't bring it. Thomas brought that there.
So all that bragging when he was drunk was more than just hot air?
I don't know where the deer came from. After what happened in the tavern, Tom took me to the forest to this hide there. But I was too worried someone would catch us, and I took off.
You did yourself a favour. Thomas isn't going to get away with this. So about that...
What about it?
So who was at the...
Just...
Who's us?
Us lads.
Was Tom from the bath?
Yes.
That'll do for now.
Take care now.
Yeah!
What do you want? You've no business here. I'm honored that you should come to me.
I'm here.
Well, ask away.
Jake Piper reckons you were at that feast.
I wasn't.
So you're calling Jake a liar?
I don't give a toss about Jake or whatever's buzzing around that empty head of his. He probably got so drunk he had visions of me there.
Right, that's it. Either you tell me the whole truth now, or I swear to God I'll knock it out of you.
All right. But promise me you won't...
Speak up and who knows? I might put in a word for you.
All right. The truth is I did drag a deer carcass there, but I didn't do the shooting. I was given it.
That's a likely story.
Honestly, not a word of a lie. I caught the poacher just as he was skinning it.
And who might that be?
I don't know.
If you don't tell me who it was, I've no reason to believe that story of yours.
Fine. Fine. He's one of the charcoal men. I've seen him taking the charcoal to the forge. His name is Radan.
There are plenty of charcoal burners around here.
He came from the charcoal piles south of here. If you follow the creek upstream, you can't miss them.
Well, you better pray I find him, because if you've been lying to me, I'll go straight to the castle. Understood?
I'm telling the truth, I swear. I'm sure you'll find him there.
We'll see.
God be with you.
Yeah. 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 Yeah.
God be with you. Do you need any...
I'd like to ask you...
I'm sorry.
Listen, I know the hare is here, and I know you spoke with him. And if you don't want your husband to find out, you better start talking.
Wait! You can't say something like that to Nicholas. God knows what he'd do.
It's in your hands whether I tell him or not.
All right, all right.
Did hare really...
God in heaven.
That remains to be seen. What did you talk about in the woods with Hannock and hare?
I see Betty's mouth's been busy.
Don't blame her. I had to work hard to weasel it out of her. Now tell me.
Oh, all right. Well, it seems Hannikin Hare's exile has addled his brain. He told me he'd go off with me, that he still loves me and nonsense like that.
And what about you?
What do you mean? I was so shocked, I couldn't even scream.
Is that all he told you?
He said if I change my mind, I'm to hang a garland of forget-me-nots on the house and wait for him at that place of ours.
Where was it you saw him exactly?
I wish I could tell you. The whole thing was like a fever dream. I almost got lost trying to get out of the forest. Even if I remembered, it wouldn't be any use to you. Hannikin Hare moves through the forest like a ghost. He knows every tree root off by heart.
That'll be everything. I'd like to...
If you are... Take care.
Yeah. Yeah.
Good day, Henry. Greetings, good night.
A fellow from Talmberg claims he saw you poaching. What do you have to say about that? Can you hear me? I could take you off to Talmberg right now, so you better speak up.
I'm not a poacher.
That's not what I've heard.
But I'm not a poacher, though.
Did your friends tell you the penalty for poaching?
No.
No? Of course not. Because if you knew, you'd never have been foolish enough to get involved.
I'm no poacher.
No, of course not. You're the Pope in disguise.
What?
No, never mind. But just so you know, the local custom is to string poachers up.
I don't want to hang.
No? Then you better make sure they won't hang you.
How?
For a start, by telling me where I can find your merry band of poachers. Because maybe I'm jumping to conclusions, but I don't think you're the leader. So?
They only take me along from...
All right.
Aye.
And where is
the clearing?
They meet in a...
They camp there.
And where is the...
A short walk.
Oh, Lord. A short walk where?
No. So...
Oh, my God. Where is the...
Along the trail. From the huntsman's lodge. Go into the... God be with you.
Yeah! I hear you're able...
Certainly.
I want to...
All right.
Maybe... Andrew, the innkeeper, sent me. Said you had a job for someone who's good with a bow.
Did he now? That's all very well, but I don't know if you're a man I can trust.
So how can I prove it to you?
For a start, you can tell me why a lad like you wants to join us.
I've heard it could earn me some decent coin.
Yeah, that's what I used to think. Only it's not quite that simple.
Why's that?
You'll find out for yourself. Anyway, I have to check.
I'm listening.
To begin with, I need to know if you're at home and bring me some deer antlers, and then we'll...
Easy.
God be with...
There's more I'd like to ask.
Well?
That's all I need. I found out where those poachers meet.
Well, that's at least one.
In fact, not all that far from here.
I see. They chose that place to mock me. I might have known.
But now we can finally nab them, right?
We can. Go to the castle and tell...
Wait, you're not coming?
I have a lot of work. God be with you.
Good day.
I've come about the...
Oh. Oh, so you're the one Nicholas was talking about.
Yes, sir.
Good luck, then.
Hannikin Herr of Zalush, I arrest you in the name of Lord Divish of Talmberg.
The Master Huntsman is not coming?
The Master Huntsman arrests poachers, not murderers. Will you come quietly?
What are you saying, man?
Well now,
look
what's
comes
crawling out from under some rock.
To heel, mutt. Vic? Yeah.
Got hair.
And where is he?
I last saw him lying...
Are you saying you...
There was no other way. I'm just glad I got out in one piece.
Ah, well, I'd rather have had him alive, but what's to be done? But I can't be sure it was really hair, unless you have some proof. He had an heirloom, a signet ring. That would prove it.
I have it here.
It's his, all right. Hard to believe the legendary Hannikin hair is gone to his maker. Anyway, I do know how to show my gratitude. Here's your reward, and stop by any time you need to.
Thanks.
God be with you.
Lost something hereabouts?